Yet, we talk about the Freddie Freemans, rightfully so, but for draft position value, give me Matt Olson. And then there's Matt Chapman, corner infielder across the diamond, who hit 36 home runs, who's just getting better. He's already, I think, one of the two best defensive third basemen in all of baseball. Put him in there with Arenado. He's in that category. Hitting 36 homers, drove in over 90 last year, scored over 100 runs. I'm telling you, man, the A's, and I haven't even gotten to maybe their best offensive player last year, Marcus Semien. I mean, 33 homers, 92 RBIs, double-digit stolen bases. He scored 123 runs. He hit 285. He had 84.5% contact rate. My gosh. Yet we still talk about Houston. Look, I think Oakland is every bit on the same standing as Houston offensively. Oh, so criticize that. It's okay. Disagree with me. I just think Oakland has these young players. They're all starting to peak around the same time. Their problem is going to be keeping these players. I don't know how Oakland's going to do it. I mean, they're not going to do it. They're going to lose these players just like, remember 20 years ago when they lost. Remember the team? 01, they had Damon. They had Giambi. They had I mean, they were loaded. They lose players to free agency. Damon goes to Boston. Giambi goes to New York. Tejada goes to... They all leave. Oakland retools. That's their modus operandi. We're going to retool. But they've got these players for a couple more years. And look out for the A's. And now I want to talk about their pitchers. And, you know, I want to stay away from Luzardo for a minute. I mean, I'll acknowledge it. He's a great arm, probably the best left-handed pitching prospect in Major League Baseball. And they've got him in their rotation this year. But another player who's coming off TJ surgery, 6'7", a presence on the mound, great stuff. Little sore shoulder during spring. That's over now. Again, this break has really helped A.J. Puck. And I know you guys have been following him. But nationally, A.J. Puck doesn't get the acclaim. Okay, there are two rookie pitchers other than Luzardo that I'm really high on. I don't know if Puck, I think he will. I think he starts the year in the A's rotation with Luzardo. And with the shortened season, I'm not so sure these guys are having limitations on them. He's a strikeout machine. He had Tommy John April of 18. He returned 14 months later. Last year, he was called up late, pitched out of the Oakland bullpen, you remember. Throws in the upper 90s. I think I read where his fastball was averaging a little over 97. A four-seamer and a slider. And he's worked on his changeup, so he's got 3 pitches in that arsenal now. How many of you are like me and you just say, give me some A.J. Puck? But the rotation is, look, we already know the veteran fighters who's thrown no hitters. We know about the veteran Manaea, who was their choice to start the playoff game, his worst outing of the year. But in a short season last year because of injury. You know, he had shoulder surgery in 18, came back the end of last year, went 4-0, a 1.21 ERA. Other than his playoff game, he was on fire. Now, he's not going to be a pitcher that's going to throw a lot of innings. I think his high water mark was 162 innings, and that was in 2017. But we're not playing 162 games this year. So Manaea, who did not have a good spring, but do you give that a lot of credence? He had a great end of last year. And then there's Frankie Montas. And I think Frankie Montas, with the Luzardo, with the puck, he still may be the ace of the staff. Only because he's been there. Now, we know last year he was suspended. But before the suspension, Montas was 9-2, struck out 103, had a 2.63 ERA. And, remember when and Lenny, you've talked about your baseball cards, and they're awesome, by the way. And if you're ever going to get rid of them, I'm your man. But here's the deal. You go back and you look at baseball cards. And you look at ERAs. Go back and look at, say, 1985. Dwight Gooden and his 153 ERA. John Tudor and his 193 ERA. That just doesn't happen. Ron Guidry in 78 with his 178 ERA. It just doesn't happen anymore. But when you have a pitcher who has an ERA under 3, when you have a pitcher who has an ERA under 275, I'm interested, aren't you? Frankie Montas, 2.63 ERA last year, a 1.11 whip. He allowed no earned runs in spring training before spring training was shut down. With the fact that he did not pitch as much last year, the A's may have been concerned about his innings going into the season. Sure. But now we have a shortened season. I think the A's are huge winners from the pitching perspective. You get Puck, you get Luzardo, you get Montas, probably for a full season, whatever it will be. And these are 3 classic arms. Oakland has passed Houston on the pitching front. They have the best staff in the American League West, and particularly so, even more so, with the shortened season. And their bullpen, Hendricks, the closer. Look, these guys, if we played in the regular divisions, I think they win the West this year. That's just how good I think the Oakland A's are. More players. I want to ask you a question. And I've looked at this, okay? Whatever happened to Buster Posey? I know in 2019 he had a hamstring injury. He had a concussion. Probably that did not help him having his worst year ever at the plate, where he hit 257 and 7 home runs. How many of you guys think, and I know he's in San Francisco, I know he's in a bad hitter's park, but I do know Buster Posey is a great hitter. He's 33 years old. The Giants have Joey Bart, who's ready to play in 2020. Do you think the Giants would trade Buster Posey to a contender and he make some immediate impact? Remember, too, if that doesn't happen, the Giants will have a DH as well. The Giants are not a good team. But I'm looking for players in fantasy who may exceed the expectations that were placed on them in February prior to drafts. And I think with the shortened season, Buster Posey is one of those. Look, catcher, do we all agree, is a very thin position. How many catchers do you really look at in the draft and say, I got to have that catcher? Is Realmuto that guy? Is Realmuto the guy that you say, I got to have? Is Gary Sanchez? Don't think so. My point being, the catching stock falls off very quickly. And here we are with Posey in a short season who may well exceed expectations because of the fact that he's in a short season. And the DH rule. Love it. Love it. Just a few more and then we'll get out of here. Well, first of all, you guys ready? Let's do this. Are you guys ready for the NFL draft tonight? I was watching a show on projections last night. Who might go where and, that kind of stuff. And Cincinnati has the number one pick tonight. The NFL, I think, I don't know if you're NFL fans or not, but marketing right now is so huge. And I know the question has been, do you think any product is better than no product? How do you think the consumer will react to a sport that doesn't market itself the best or doesn't put the best product on the field? I'm going to tell you. Did you watch any TV last night? I watched, it was painful. I watched the Orioles and the White Sox playoff game in 1984 on Masson. Poor quality sound, poor quality video. And I thought, man, I'd love to watch the Tigers play the Pirates right now. I did. Maybe I'm the exception. I'm sure I am. But you talk about jonesing for some baseball. No pun. Aren't we all? And that's why I was so adamant and animated Monday and Tuesday. Major League Baseball, give us a plan. Even if it doesn't start right away. Give us a plan so there's something to talk about. There's something to get us excited. The NFL draft is going to take place tonight in the commissioner's basement of his home, and you've got 3 networks carrying it. ABC, ESPN, and NFL Network. And I can't wait to see what the ratings are on a draft. Not even a real game. That's how hungry I think the sports consumer is for something. Just something. They're doing a great job of talking about trading and who may bump up and where's Tua going and where's Joe Burrow. He's going to be the number 1 pick. Will the Redskins follow by taking Chase Young? I mean, all kinds of discussion. And NFL is promoting that. Now, baseball, let's wake up. Let's don't be asleep at the switch. Some plan is better than no plan. Lenny has mentioned now 2 plans in the last week. Lenny, is there any chance that the commissioner might appoint you and me and some others to go in here and let's put something in place, even if it never happens? But if we have a plan, we've got something to talk about. Fantasy players getting excited, making trades, redrafting, whatever we do. So I wish that they would come up with a plan, knowing that coronavirus is bigger than baseball, but knowing that human lives are what matter. But at some point, Corona is going to go. And what I think we as a human race need is some hope. Something to talk about. Something that's positive. Like Lenny Melnick, FantasySports.com, where you can get on a podcast and listen to different players or different